What if I told you horror isn't about monsters? It's about your apartment at 3 a.m., your GPS losing signal in the forest, the toy in the corner of your room that you don't remember placing there. We don't watch horror because we like fear. We watch it because it feels possible. Urban legends, possession, cursed objects, isolation. These aren't just movie tropes, they're situations that begin like any normal day. And by the end of this video, you might start looking at ordinary things a little differently, because horror doesn't start with a scream. It starts with something small, something subtle, something you ignore. So let's break horror down, not by popularity, but by subgenres that feel dangerously real. 10 subgenres, 20 films, and one uncomfortable question: how far is fiction from your real life? This is fear without a monster. This is anxiety, doubt, the feeling that something isn't right. It doesn't break your body, it breaks your perception of reality. Nothing jumps out, nothing attacks, it just waits. Urban legends don't feel invented, they feel remembered. A story passed from voice to voice, a warning disguised as folklore, and the scariest part, you don't know who started it or why. The Blair Witch Project 1999. This is not just a horror movie, it feels like something you were never meant to see. Three students go into the woods to film a documentary about a local legend. No music, no cinematic lighting, just raw footage, and the scariest part, nothing actually shows itself. The horror lives in the dark, in the sounds, in the feeling that something is standing just outside the frame. The Sandman 2025, a story about a childhood myth. A figure that watches you while you sleep. At first it feels symbolic, trauma, memory, fear. But then the line between imagination and reality disappears, and the monster stops feeling fictional. What if the legend in your town isn't a story, but a warning? These stories are older than you, older than your house, older than your name. Folklore doesn't need proof, it survives because someone somewhere saw something they couldn't explain. In this world, evil isn't loud, it's patient, and it already knows you. The Vordelak 2023, an old Slavic legend. A father returns home after being gone too long. He looks the same, he sounds the same, but something is wrong. Folklore horror doesn't scream, it whispers. And it asks one terrifying question: what if the people you love come back different? But what if the danger isn't inside your house, but outside civilization? Domovoi 2024, a house spirit. Ancient, invisible, watching. At first it feels harmless, like a fairy tale, until the house starts reacting. Doors, sounds, objects moving. The home, the safest place in your life, turns into something alive. Have you ever felt like your house was watching you? Now imagine the danger isn't outside, but inside someone you love. Your body is supposed to be yours, but what if it isn't? What if it changes without asking? Body horror isn't about monsters, it's about transformation, loss of control, skin that doesn't feel right anymore, and realizing you can't escape your own flesh. Infinity Pool 2023. Vacation, luxury, escape until your body stops feeling like yours. Clones, identity, punishment. The film doesn't show monsters, it shows transformation, and transformation is always painful. One Whole 2025, two people, one connection so intense, their bodies begin to change. This isn't about gore, it's about losing control over your own flesh, and realizing you're no longer fully human. What if the real horror is your own body betraying you? The walls don't move, you do. The air feels thinner, the silence gets heavier. Claustrophobic horror isn't about space. It's about isolation, about the slow understanding that no one is coming. Manhole 2023. A man falls into a manhole the night before his wedding. No one hears him, no one sees him. His phone becomes his only connection to the world. But the deeper horror isn't the hole. It's the realization that no one is coming. Claustrophobia isn't about walls. it's about being forgotten. Die Before Death 2024, A Confined Space. Limited air, limited time. The walls don't move, but your mind does. In isolation, your thoughts get louder, and sometimes they turn against you. A recording you weren't meant to see, a file that shouldn't exist. Found footage feels wrong because it looks real. No soundtrack, no dramatic lighting. Just evidence, and sometimes evidence is worse than imagination. The back rooms, found footage, a lost tape. A camera still recording. A place no one was meant to find. An endless maze of empty rooms. Found footage horror hits differently, because it feels accidental. No actors, no explanation, just a camera, and something in the dark. The Mothman Prophecies, 2001, Strange Sightings, Unexplainable Events. A creature seen before tragedy strikes, not attacking, not chasing, just appearing as a sign. Sometimes it's not psychological, sometimes it's just survival. You think you're safe because it's familiar. A small town, a quiet road, a friendly face. Slashes remind you how easy it is to walk into the wrong place at the wrong time, and how fast normal can turn into a trap. House of Wax, 2005, A Small Town, Friendly Faces. Until you realize the town is not empty, it's preserved bodies turned into display pieces. In slashers, the killer isn't the scariest part, it's the realization that you walk straight into the trap. Wrong Turn, 2003. You miss one turn. That's it. Now you're deep in the forest. No signal. No road signs. And someone else lives here. Childhood is supposed to feel safe. Soft lights. Small toys. Quiet rooms. But horror loves innocence. Because when something moves that shouldn't, it feels personal. Dead Silence, 2007. A ventriloquist dummy. A curse. If you scream, you die. The horror isn't the doll moving. It's the silence before it does. The Monkey 2025, A Toy. A simple wind-up monkey, but every time it plays, someone dies. Childhood objects carry memories. What if they carry something else? There's one fear we all share. Being trapped. The change is subtle at first. A look, a tone, a silence that wasn't there before. Possession horror isn't about demons. It's about watching someone you love become someone else, while still wearing the same face. Hereditary 2018. Grief. Family trauma, and something darker moving beneath it all. Possession in this film feels inherited, like a curse passed through blood. The Exorcist, 1973. A young girl. Sudden changes. Doctors find nothing wrong. Then the impossible begins. This isn't about demons. It's about losing someone while they're still alive. But the worst prison is your own body. Nature doesn't care about you. It doesn't hate you. It doesn't fear you. It consumes. In this horror, civilization disappears, and you realize how fragile your safety really was. Cannibal Holocaust, 1979. A documentary crew enters the jungle. They don't come back. Nature in horror doesn't forgive. It consumes. Coraline, 2009. It looks like a children's movie. But behind the small door is another mother. Kinder, softer. Until you look at her eyes, buttons. Objects don't forget. They stay, they watch, they wait. A gift, a keepsake, something you never threw away. Cursed horror works because you live with it, and sometimes it lives with you. The Conjuring, 2013, a family moves into a new home. The past hasn't left. The walls remember. Annabelle, 2014, a doll. A gift. An object becomes a doorway. Cursed item horror works because objects stay. They sit in your house. They wait. You've just seen 20 horror stories. Different monsters, different legends, different nightmares. But they all share one thing. None of them start with evil. They start with something ordinary. A walk in the woods, a family home, a childhood toy, a simple object, and then something changes. Something small, something easy to ignore. Until it's too late, because the most terrifying horror is never the monster you see. It's the one that was always there.